Hey folks, Amanda here. Just a quick heads up that from time to time, the Survivor's Guide to Thriving podcast does include some adult language. So if you've got kids with you, you may just want to hold on to this episode to listen to a little later. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Survivor's Guide to Thriving podcast. Get ready for the wake-up call you needed. You'll learn the steps required to end your survival and start thriving in any behavior. This podcast will provide you with the regular insight you need to stay motivated and feel like you're living again. And now, here's your host, Mark Jewell.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Survivor's Guide to Thriving. This is your host and founder of the Surviving to Thriving movement, Mark Jewell. And today we're going to take you down the twisty, turny, juicy path of relationships, relationship development, more specifically rigorous relationship development. And we're not just talking about the stuff that happens at home. We might get into that. I don't know. We'll see how this thing turns out. We might get into some of that stuff, but I'm also talking about the other relationships. Just relationships everywhere. There's such an enormous part of our life. And so few people actually do any real training or work on themselves to develop their capacity to rigorously handle and develop the relationships with people around them. So Amanda, we're here, we're rocking, and we're ready to get into this thing. So, as you know, we spend most of our waking hours with other people or around other people, even if we don't want to, right? So, having good relationships is the imperative. Amanda, why is this so hard for some people? Actually, I'm just going to tell you, why do most people make this out to be so much more difficult than it has to be?
Because people are difficult. I mean, sometimes they get in the way of what you're trying to do, or they just seem to sometimes make your life harder than it has to be. Oh, there's those good ones too, obviously, but I think that's why people have such a hard time with, making relationships really strong, is because sometimes it seems like relationships actually make things harder.
Yeah. I get you. As valuable as they are, some people really, really struggle with this. I'm just going to go right into it and kind of go in the jugular on this one because A, we started recording late and we've got a deadline here. So I want to get right to it. But B, I want to get through all the bullshit and kind of dancing around this stuff. Yes, relationships are messy. Yes, relationships can be difficult. Relationships of all kinds, work relationships, home relationships, family relationships, friend relationships, all that can be super, super messy. But when it comes to getting ahead in life, relationships are necessary. We wouldn't be having this call if both of us hadn't nurtured the relationship over time between the two of us over the last 8 years.
Right.
Even when we weren't working together or when you weren't a client, right? Mm-hmm. So this podcast likely doesn't even exist in the world if we don't manage this relationship in some way, shape, or form over time. And here's the